Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, and it's Monday, June 8th, and I'm here to tell you what I've been working on this week with my cross stitch. I have quite a bit to show, so I'm hoping it won't take too long. First off, I guess I can share my FFOs. I have my 3 teacher gifts. I'm hoping I can pass out at least some of them tomorrow when I return our borrowed laptops that my kids have been using at the school, so I'm hoping at least some of them will be there. So I wanted to go ahead and get them framed up, and I did that right before this. It took about a half hour to get all 3 of these done, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I ordered all of these frames from Hobby Lobby, so you can find them there. Oh, there's a fuzz. I may have to take a fuzz out. Anyways, so the first one is my Thankful Owls. This is by Bent Creek, and I framed this in I believe this is a 5x5 frame, and it's really deep, but I thought it looked cute, and the square shape worked better than a long shape would have, in my opinion, for this design, because it's mostly square. It's just a little bit taller than wider, so I thought that turned out really cute in that frame, and so this is going to be gifted hopefully tomorrow. And then this one is for another teacher, and this is the August owl out of an August set of owls by Leslie Tier, and this is a 4x6, and so you can still see some wrinkles in there, but it was stiff linen and the wrinkles just weren't coming out, and in person it's not that noticeable, so I think it'll be fine. It just kind of chalks it up to being fabric. I left the glass in all of these. I managed to get them squished in there with glass. I just folded the fabric over. I didn't do any lacing. I just really easy and fast. I don't even think lacing would have fixed this, so I'm okay with that. But I like the warmer wood that goes to go with this one, so I thought that turned out good. I left the glass in just because it would help protect these no matter where they end up. If they end up in the classroom or somewhere, it'd be nice to have a little extra protection. And then this is the last one, and I'm seeing some fuzzes in there. I'll have to open this up and take those fuzzes out before I gift it. But this is the little school day sampler, and I put it in a little frame that looks like a slate chalkboard, rounded corners and black, so I thought that turned out really cute. And this is the Trellis and Time School Days sampler that all the colors are changed, and my daughter helped a little bit to finish this, to stitch on this. So, yeah, so here's a fuzz, and there's like a string down here too. So I gotta get those things out before I gift it. But I think they turned out really nice, and I'm happy about that. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. So anyways, I know at least one of the teachers will be there tomorrow, so I'm hoping that a few others will be too, and then I can get those all gifted and passed on. So that'll be nice to get that done. If not, I'll give them out like a back to school night in the fall, assuming that happens. Everything is still up in the air. We're still mostly closed here. We keep slowly opening things up, but LA County is pretty tight as far as opening back up. So I envy all of you that are a little bit farther along in the process than we are. In the meantime, more time for stitching, right? So I also worked on my Bloomtopia part 10, I think it was. So I will film a clip today and show it after it releases on the 15th. Yeah, that releases on the 15th. So I'll show that on that video. But I think I'll go ahead and continue working on the next release, so I can keep getting ahead on that one. I did work on my temperature tree yesterday. Where's the cover? Here's this one. So I got my leaves caught up. I didn't get the whole branch done, but I did get some of June's branch done and the leaves caught up, so progress is progress. Here's this next to last time, and I got the start of June's branch and a few of the leaves put in, and 100 that leaf is 100, and then 2 days later, it goes down to 68, 66, these two. Crazy weather we're having here, but it keeps for a colorful tree. This is 28 count, 1/1 light blue artiste even weave from Hobby Lobby. And that's fun. I'm really enjoying that one. Keep bringing that out I'll keep bringing that out at least on Sundays. I have my customer stitching at least one length of thread every weekday, and then my Bluetopia part, I'll finish that during the week as well, and then I'll work on my temperature tree. Keep that moving along. And it is nice to only have those two. I'll have the Prim Stitch Club will be starting in July, so that's not yet happening, and hopefully Bloomtopia will be done by then. So I'll only have one customer stitching and one SAL and my tree. Still a lot of extra stitching, but it's working, so I'm okay with that. What did I do this week? I think the first thing, I already showed you my Mayday Merriment one, which is the first of 4 challenges in Enchanted Stitching. The second of the 4 challenges, I did Touchdown, which is out of this old leaflet I got on Etsy, and I think you can find them on Etsy or eBay. It's just called Touchdown. I did mine as a color conversion to John Elway from the Broncos and Charles Woodson from the Oakland Raiders, who was a defender during the John Elway era. This is how far I got compared to last week, and I'm pretty happy with that. I was considering doing more, but I didn't end up having time. So I got all of the darker gray finished in all of the white areas. So all those areas are done now. So then I got just over 250 stitches with all the rest of the gray and then his skin. So all the skin is done now too. And that satisfied the Enchanted Stitching Challenge. And then I started backstitching. And I took a picture before I started backstitching to submit it for the challenge, so I wouldn't have to count the backstitching for the challenge. So I backstitched his arms, and then I switched colors and backstitched around. Yeah, the arm color was also the orange color. And then I switched colors and started to work on the white, the dark gray that is the backstitching for the white, and got one length done on that. And I was hoping to do more because it looks so cool when it starts to come together. But I had other things I was doing. There's also a little bit of brown in his face along there and along the edge and his nose. There will be more that's the dark gray around his eyes to kind of make the football stripe pop out and like to emphasize his eye features. So there'll be more backstitching in there later. There's lots of backstitching around the helmet and the grill, and lots more in the face, in the jersey and the pants. So there's still a lot of backstitching, but I think I like that method of doing 250 cross stitches and then continuing on with the rest of the day or the rest of the time I had planned to work on something to do the backstitching with that time, so that it's bonus time and I don't have to count it, because there's a lot of stair-step backstitching and it's just kind of tedious to have to count that all up. So I'm happy with that, and I'm excited to get it out again next month. Probably not before, unless there's a really obvious challenge that says work on a football player. And I'm like, okay, I will. But I am enjoying that, and it's close to a finish, but there's still a lot left to do. All of the Raiders' pants and their shoes and their socks, plus a whole bunch of backstitching. So there's still a good amount to be done on that, but I am hoping to finish that this year. That'll be nice. Then I moved on and worked on Winged Monarch by Mill Hill, which I started at the end of May, and put another 250 stitches in on this. And then the second day I took picture, and then the second day I just stitched without counting again, just because it's more relaxing. This one I kept forgetting to count. I don't highlight my chart on most patterns, and so when I I think I had a huge chunk already stitched. I'm like, oh, I didn't count. But since I was color completing, it was easy to go back and find those symbols and just count it up chunk by chunk until I had it all tallied. And then I tried to remember going forward to count. So it was nice when I was done with that day. I had a little, almost 300 stitches on the first day. I just submitted that for my challenge, and then the next day that I was also planning to work on this, I just kept going and just had fun with it and didn't have to worry about counting. So that was nice. Here I am now compared to last time, and I believe I finished all the stitching in the butterfly. I had one shade of orange done. I did 3 more shades of, let's see, 3 more shades of orange and a yellow. And some of those same colors were in the centers of the flowers around the outside, so I went ahead and did them there too. And then there was also some dark gray along here. This, I believe, is all beads, his body. And then all these holes are all beads too. So it's gonna be very, very beady, which will be fun. So I still haven't decided if I want to do all the stitching and then do the beading. I'm kind of leaning towards that, just so that the threads won't catch on the beads, since there are a lot of beads. I do bead as I go with my Mirabilias, but this is such a small piece, I'm thinking I'll probably just go ahead and keep stitching the cross stitches and then do the beads at the end. So that's been fun. My first Mill Hill kit, and I am enjoying that one. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then I worked on the Crazy Wonderful Owl family as my last challenge piece. And that was this one. The Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm doing the no background version, so it is not full coverage any longer. And the challenge was for blue or purple, so I had to stitch on those colors. And all I had was his wing, so I went ahead and worked on Papa Owl's eye, and I'm really happy with how it's looking now. I got over 300 stitches on the first day, and the second day I think I was working on my temperature tree too much, and I didn't have time to do much at all on this one, so I got 40 more stitches that day just to finish out my string and called it good. And then I did other stuff like planning and scheming and organizing. So here I am compared to last time. Sorry. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. I already had a little chunk of this blue done over here, so I just kept that blue going all the way up and up into his ear area. And then I decided to switch over and get another color started. Got a darker blue all the way up to the top. There's one more stitch higher than that, and that's the top of the pattern, which is cool. There's a lot of extra fabric up here just because that's kind of the way that the way the pattern was supposed to look with some background. So I left it that way. And then it'll be really wide. So the whole piece, I just figured it would be fine. And that dark color got all the way down here. There's also more on the middle, but I just did one string of the dark color. And I think that turned out really cute. You can definitely tell it's starting to turn into something more owlish. So that's nice. This is Picture This Plus Glacier, 28 count, and I'm doing these over 1. The stitches are more like a 30, I think I wrote it on the thing, more like a 31 count because they shrunk. So they are tighter than I'm used to. Just got a note pop through from one of the teachers because she said she would be there tomorrow, so. All right, so that's all I worked on last week. So this week, I'm pretty sure, this week, the new set of challenges, I looked at that right before this video and figured I better figure out what I'm going to work on before I can show you. I was hoping to work on Simpsons because I didn't work on it this past week, so I was able to fit that in to a challenge to work on something that's, what was this one for? It wasn't for, there was one of them that was for a gift, but I think I was going to do that for the iris. Oh, one that had been exiled. You had to work on, because Mike and Scully were exiled to the snow and met the abominable snowman. You're supposed to work on something with snow, or something that had a project that had been exiled, and a project, or work on white stitches. And I don't want to work on white stitches. I could. The background and back here is not going to be stitched, just because I'm not doing that. But this outside has some white in it. Their eyeballs have a lot of white, so I could work on that potentially for the challenge, and then do the yellow in her arm for just bonus stitching. But I could work on this one because it was technically in the timeout bin for a long time, because I didn't want to work on it when it was on 32 count, one strand half stitch. It was just not, I didn't like it. But I like it now. It's restarted on 40 count Vertil. Here's where it is now. And so I do want to work on her arm in yellow, but I could work on eyeballs as well for the challenge. So whichever one. I'm not really looking forward to working white on white with this itty bitty little stitches, because I think that'll be hard, but it's got to get done at some point. So I may do that for that challenge as well. I also have discovered a way to allow, I updated my software program to the most recent edition, and I can now get it to work in Pattern Keeper. So I'm very excited. I was able to get Simpsons in Pattern Keeper. So now I am really looking forward to working on this and seeing how much better it will be to work on it, and see if I can get anything done faster, especially the confetti stitches around the outlines of all the characters. It was rough, because trying to figure out where the next one was and what's the best path to take. It'll be so much easier in Pattern Keeper. The big blocks of fill-in, that doesn't really matter either way. But so that'll be nice. And also, when I have time, which is hard to find time these days with everybody home all the time, I'm hoping to get my Etsy shop patterns also converted over to be able to be compatible with Pattern Keeper. So far I haven't worked on that, and it does seem like there's some bugs to work out, because even with this pattern, it changed all my symbols when it converted it. And so it's yeah, we'll have to figure out how it will work, because I don't want to, it'll take some time to get them to a presentable space. But I am going to work on that. So keep your ears open for the news on that one. I also have another family piece I'd like to work on this week. My iris, quick stitch iris, should be, this is the week it's supposed to come out based on my schedule. And I have 2 family pieces that are supposed to come out next week, plus a new start that I will talk about later that I was not planning on doing, plus the start I was going to do on my summer cross on the first day of summer, plus a stitching shelf for the Full Coverage Fanatics Midsummer Night SAL, all next week. That's 5 things, and I normally only work on 4. So I'll probably have to bump one of my family pieces down to the following week. But this week, since I already absorbed Simpsons from last week, I figured I would be okay not taking any of those. I could have probably, but anyways, all my thinking. So anyways, I'll be working on Iris this week. This will be for the prompt of something that's going to be a gift. And you've seen this a lot recently because of Stitch Mania. I still have these last few parked threads that would be lovely to get worked in, and hopefully more than that accomplished as well. So we will see. This is on 25 count linen 1/1 full crosses, and that's that one. Let's see, the other one, something that makes you scream, a project that makes you scream. And I really don't have projects that are scary, and I don't have a lot of projects that are incredibly frustrating, or else I wouldn't be working on them. But I do have some that have been mildly frustrating. And this one is one that one of my, had a comment on a recent video wondering where this one was because they hadn't seen it in a while. So I figured, well, that one technically is in the somewhat frustrating category just because it's a little bit boring. I like lots of color in some of my pieces, and this one is not that colorful. But, so it counts. So I'm bringing it back this week. So I'm going to work on Waterfall in Yosemite. And it's not a bad whip. I do sometimes enjoy working on it, but it is, especially up here in the sky, which is where I am, it's a little bit boring. So I am hoping to get that first row done this year. So no time like the present to get started on that goal. And I don't think I've put it in Pattern Keeper yet. So I'll have to do that this week also. But here is where this is now. And maybe I'll try to get off a little farther for having a side-by-side shot later, but it is a wider one. This is on 18 count antique white, Ada, 2 stranded full crosses. And I have a good amount of that first row done. I still just have this chunk over here left to fill in. And down here I have parked threads from the rocks, which are very confetti heavy, but they look really cool. So I'm hoping to get progress on that. I will be working up here. I don't think I'm going to tackle any of the confetti yet. I'll be working on this sky. So hopefully I can get a lot of stitches in on that because it's just blues and whites, and there are a lot of blends because it is a golden kite. But since I have Pattern Keeper now, I'll probably just pick a color and finish that color in the whole top row at least, and before I move on to the next color, and it'll be easier to tackle that way, I think. So there's that one. And then the last one, I went ahead and managed to put this in, is my new start. And one of the prompts was work on something that's partially covered because Mike and Sully got featured on a magazine, only Mike's face was covered with the barcode. So anyways, they said you could work on something that's where someone's legs are partially covered by clothing or an animal's partially covered by a bush. So she is partially covered. She's got some skin showing, and her arm is covered by this wrap, and most of her body and legs are covered by her dress, so she is partially covered. I will be stitching her on 32 count oyster linen by MCG Textiles. There's all the beads, and I am ready to go. I don't know if this one has any Krynic. I don't know. Let's see. Nope. Woohoo! No Whisper, no Krynic, just DMC and beads. So I am ready to go on that one. Summer Queen by Mirabilia, if I didn't say so. I'm going to be starting this on the Friday, on the 12th. So hopefully I can get the other 3 projects done in these next 4 days, which will be kind of tight, but and then I'll start this and maybe have 3 days on this. So that'll be fun. And I also have Terry Lee Crafts. It's going to work on this. She's already started it, but doesn't have a very large start. So she's going to pull hers out. And Rolanda is Duick. She's also going to start this on the 12th with me. So that'll be fun. It is fun to start projects with other people. Which brings me to another unexpected start that I had in the wings, but I didn't necessarily plan to start it this soon, is my Theresa Wentzler English Garden Sampler. I found this booklet. This is just a booklet. I found this on the freebie table at the Southern California Stitchers Retreat. And I thought, you know what? I do like this part of it. I want it to do it like that. I like the alphabet. It's 1/1. I like this gate area. This scroll work is 1/1. There's some beads, there's some Krynic, there's some specialty stitches. I don't want to do this. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably pull this. I think I'll keep doing the border. It's kind of big, but I think it needs it to bring it all together. So I'll just pull the big border down. And if I need to add some more things in here to make it line up right, I can, because there's some extra, I don't know if you can see, there's some extra little stitches along here that I could add some things in there to make it work, to fit right, to line up right with the way this border ends. Anyways, so then that's what I'm going to be starting. I have some 28 count Jobelin in ivory that I must have cut something else up for, and I'll be doing that on the 15th, which is next week, not this week, but because Dina, Half Stitch Cross Stitch, said she was going to be starting a Theresa Wentzler. I think she's starting the Mermaid on the 15th, and she said someone else was starting with her, Anne maybe. So I don't know if that's Anne from Fiber Floss and Fiction or a different Anne. I don't know where I was. I don't know. I guess my head was in the sand. I didn't know they were starting that, and so I figured I have my Theresa Wentzler that I don't necessarily have a date picked yet. I think it was in my planner, and I passed the date by because I wasn't really in the mood to start things earlier this year. But if they're starting it anyways, it's fun to start with people. That's kind of my thing. It's fun to start with people. So I figured not very often do you run across a Theresa Wentzler SAL of starting something. So I figured, well, let's just jump on that. It's next week. I already have my stuff. I don't necessarily have my beads and metallics, but I can wait on those and get them later. And because I'm starting that one, I figured I would go ahead and offer up this kit that I was given as a giveaway. I'm sad that I didn't know about this ahead of time and that you won't be able to get it before the SAL on the 15th. But it'll be in honor of the SAL, I guess. And so if you want to stitch this as well, this is a kit one of my viewers sent me, that she sent me a whole bunch of her Theresa Wentzler kits she decided she wasn't going to stitch. And it's a full kit. They're even on floss cards already. It's never been opened. There's some 25 count linen in here that you can do it on. 25 count even weave, it says. But it looks more like linen. It's a little bit uneven, in my opinion. But pre-sorted threads. There is some blending filament in here. There's some beads, the needle, the graph, and the instructions. So it is it's brand new. Granted, a little bit old, but it is brand new. And it is thick and fat, so it will be a little bit more expensive to ship. So I will ship it anywhere in the US for free. If you're international and you would really like to enter, then I would ask that you pay shipping, because it will probably be pretty expensive. Probably at least $15. I don't know. International shipping is sadly ridiculous right now. But definitely US residents are welcome to enter. You just say, I would like to stitch the garden, because this is the English garden sampler. And have the word garden in your comment that you'd like to stitch the garden, and you can be entered to win this. And I will draw next week, which is when I'll be starting. The 15th is a Monday. So when I film next week, that'll be the day I'm starting this. So I'll draw this and pick a winner on the day I'm starting. So sadly, you won't be able to start with us because it'll still need to get to you in the mail, but you'll at least win on the day of the SAL. So there you go. And this is going to take me forever, probably like another 10 years to finish this, even my cropped version. So yeah, it's fine. You can join whenever you get it. So I figured I'd give the kit away and keep the leaflet that I got, because I'm not planning to stitch the whole thing. So I felt like it wasn't quite appropriate to keep the kit, because the kit is meant for the entire thing. It has the fabric cut for the whole thing. It has all the floss for all of this stuff in here, which has lots of blends and fractionals. If you watch Blitz Stitch, Brian over at Blitz Stitch, he is working on this and he's getting closer to a finish on this, and so you can see his progress too if you're ready to drool and want to be entered. So anyways, so please don't mention giveaway or drawing or free or anything in the comments, because then I'll delete your comment, and I don't want to have to do that. But I want to make sure my subscribers and people who actually want to stitch this are entering. And make sure you're 18 so you can give me your address and all that fun stuff. I also have been kitting up my Brooks books for Jolly July. I decided officially I'm going to do all 25 of these. I'm going to get them started at least. So I cut my fabric. This is 18 count Aida, left over from my tree kits on my shop. that I had enough scraps that I felt wasteful. I didn't know what to do with them, but too much or not enough for a whole nother size of a tree or a balloon. So I was like, well, what do I do with these pieces? So I cut them up and I'm gonna make ornaments. Actually, not ornaments. I'm gonna make a little like a flip calendar with these, and I won't be doing the borders. But I also printed out some thread cards, so I'm going to cut these up and hole punch them and get at least one length of all the DMCs. I went through all of the designs and gathered up a cumulative list of all the DMCs that are used, so that I can just have them all ready at the beginning and use this as a travel piece whenever we can travel again. So anyways, I think that's everything. Lots of fun. I hope you guys are having fun with your stitching too, and looking forward to seeing what this week brings. And in the meantime, happy stitching. Bye.